Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nisa.
And I'm David.
And we'll be your hosts for the next hour with the project Visful Social Good Life. This is a hands-on session. So for those that are new to the Visful Social Good project, what is Visful Social Good? So Visful Social Good is an initiative that is led by community. And we harness the power of data visualization for social change. How can you participate? So if you are a charity, a foundation, or an NGO, you can upload a project, share your data. Volunteers like ourselves will look into the data and create visualizations that can be explanatory, exploratory, or even an infographic. The organizations itself will use those visualizations for data-driven decisions on marketing materials, or even just to raise awareness for the cause. When did it start? It started in 2016 with Chloe Tseng. Since then, it grew so much that the formation of a board was necessary. We are humble and happy to belong to that team, and we are very lucky to have here several members of the board, as well as chapter leads. We have been partnering with several organizations, from UNICEF to Hidden Genius. And our volunteers and chapter leads have been visiting across the globe, have been visiting from Toronto to Sydney, from Dublin to Japan. And we have amazing chapter leaders that we have Katie and the group there. Thank you so much. They have been doing an amazing job. So today, we are having a new project, and the idea is to create just visualizations or just insights to the data that you have. We are not expecting you guys to finish a visualization in an hour, but just start as a group, because the idea is to network, learn from each other. We probably have different levels of the Tableau journey in the room. So just leverage the knowledge that you have in the room. We'll be around, we will help you. We have people here that are consultants for Tableau, that are very experts in Tableau and may help you too, as well as the board and the chapter leads. But I will let David tell you more about the project for today.
Morning again. Thank you, Nisa. As you've seen, we're going to be working with Guys and St. Thomas Charity. They are an independent foundation working to improve the health of people in the London boroughs of Lambeth and Southwark. To achieve this, they are concentrating on a number of small issues, focusing on key health areas. In this project, we're going to be working to focus on childhood obesity in Lambeth and Southwark. The data has been provided by OCSI. They provide quality research data and analysis to public and community sector organizations to help them make better decisions. We know that childhood obesity is a complex and global issue, and a major challenge in London, which has one of the highest rates of any global city. Guys and St. Thomas partner with other organizations to deliver projects, to conduct research, and to amplify their results, just like what we're doing today with Visful Social Good. The goal of their program is to close the childhood obesity inequality gap. That means that by bringing the high rates of childhood obesity in areas with the lowest incomes down to the same levels of more affluent ones. There's a clear link between an average income in those areas and obesity, and they focus on those efforts on the areas with the lowest average incomes, where childhood obesity have the highest rates. The project and activities that they run within their program focus on three main areas to make sure that children and their families live healthy lives. Those areas are streets, schools, and homes. It means that by focusing their work across these three different environments, they are able to have an impact across all the areas that impact childhood obesity gap. But before we move into actually looking at the data, I would like to share a small video with you from Guys and St. Thomas.
When it comes to childhood obesity, we've tended to think willpower is the answer. Eat less, exercise more. But let's face it, you can't outrun a bad diet. Behavioural science increasingly suggests childhood obesity is a normal response to an abnormal environment, especially in inner cities. We're bombarded with offers and opportunities to eat high-energy food. As a result, health promotion is being outweighed by calorie consumption. Over the past 20 years, a lot has been tried to tackle childhood obesity, but we're yet to really get to grips with it. Our view is that rather than give up, we just need to think about it differently. And we believe progress is possible, especially if you focus on 3 things. 1. This is really about inequality. Children living in poorest areas are twice as likely to be obese as children living in richer areas. So, if we really want to tackle the problem, we need to break this link with deprivation and focus extra effort where it's most needed. 2. Healthy headspace matters. In an ideal world, we'd all be completely rational, able to make considered, informed decisions. But the reality is, none of us are. Families in disadvantaged areas have even less defence against unhealthy environments. The huge pressures of just trying to get by means they simply don't have the headspace to make healthy decisions. And 3, change takes time. This is a complex and daunting issue, but the solutions don't have to be complicated. It's more important to get started and keep going. Expecting children to become athletes overnight is unrealistic. Small nudges in the right direction could be encouraging fewer unhealthy snacks or more activity during the day. So, what now? Everyone needs to play a role, because the places children grow up, our homes, schools and streets, are influenced by a lot of different people. We need to bring them together and create an environment that makes the healthy thing to do the easy thing to do.
So now that we know a little bit more about Guys and St. Thomas Charity, we have a target. The goal for today is that we want to help Guys and St. Thomas identify where to target its resources within those 2 boroughs, which areas to fund. So you'll be able to go into visforsocialgood.com. If there are issues with Wi-Fi, we know it has been a plague at the conference. We have a ton of USB sticks with all the data that you're going to need, and we'll be able to share that around. This was courtesy of Exasol, so thank you very much for them to supporting us. You'll be able to go and see all the information that the charity has provided so that you can understand what the data looks like. You can get the data from the drive. There's also shape files, a data dictionary. Hopefully it's clear enough. It's a really wide data set, so we don't expect you to have a finished visualization at the end of the hour. We can, however, provide you some areas to focus. So when talking to Guys and St. Thomas Charities, some of the things that they said that they would want to try to understand is what are the areas with the highest and lowest rates of childhood obesity? Who lives in those areas? If there are any contributing factors, traffic, pollution, I'll leave that up, so you don't need to take pictures, but I'll leave that up for the session. Understanding how childhood obesity has been evolving over time. And maybe try to understand if there are any other UK boroughs that have similar characteristics to those 2, and also high rates of childhood obesity. So for the next 15 minutes or so, we'll be walking around. As Nisa said, there's a number of us here that can support. There's an Iron Fist champion. There's a number of people around here. So we can support if you get stuck. Just bring, if you don't have a laptop, join someone that has one and just collaborate. And the idea is to not have a finished visualization, but we'll pick maybe 2 people to come up and share that. And Neil has kindly brought in some t-shirts to give to those who are happy to come up. That's Viz. Okay. Thank you very much. I think we walked around we have about, what, 8 minutes? Yeah. So we walked around and saw a lot of you guys looking at some really interesting things. It was, for us, there's been a little bit of a challenge kind of deciding what data to bring to the conference. We've had chapter leads where we used little data, but ended up being more of an infographic thing. And then we thought about having a bit more of a wider data set, allow you to explore a few things. But as Nisa said earlier, the idea is not for you to have a finished product. Maybe looking at the data sparked an idea that you can now start to unravel when you get back home and then be able to publish something. The project It's going to be open until the end of the year, so there's time for that. I guess we could bring in a couple of people to just share some of their ideas and some of the thinking, the process they've been going through. I think Tristan is here. He volunteered himself, but just by sitting on this place. Sorry, I didn't get your name. Craig is also coming up. So, do you want to come up, Tristan? Can we connect on website? Okay.
Tristan, you will need your mic also.
So. Okay. How can I? Is that a? This one? Yeah, you're up.
It's coming? Okay. So it's really easy, but it's just the percentage of obese adults breaking down by annual income. So you could clearly see that the lower the income is, the higher the percentage of obese adults are. It's really simple insight, but it's live on the web. What I just wanted to say is, like, use any tool you want, not just Tableau. Use anything you want. You could use PowerPoint, Excel, whatever you are comfortable with. If you do this for social good, it's for the good, so it doesn't matter. And yesterday, for those who were to the Mike Cisneros and Laila talks, they ended up by saying, do something that matters. And I think this for social good really matters, so thanks for being there. Thank you.
Thank you. Correct. Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
So I didn't do anything very fancy at all, and actually looking at the data, I spent a lot of time just looking at the data dictionary, because not being from UK or Europe, there's a lot of terminology in there that was actually kind of confusing. So I tackled one of the other questions that I thought was interesting. I wanted to look at a progression over time. So I took the two individual data sets that were the smaller data sets that just gave you percentages over time, unioned them, and then pivoted them so that I could have one data set of the two and kind of track them over time. And I actually didn't get all the way to converting the dates that are kind of embedded in there in the percentage into an actual date. So right now it's still just a string, but it looks at it over time. And where I wanted to go with it was to actually have nice lollipop charts of the two, and kind of have something you could just depict at the bottom of an infographic or at the top to show a trend. But one of the things that the whole data set sparked in me that was really interesting was a parameter that's missing that would be great if you had the data for, that I kind of mentioned in our table, is that food deserts concept, right? How does this relate to areas where you can't get fresh produce, fresh food? So we see income data in there, we see, general health data in there, how many, parents in the household. But I think tying it into something like a food desert concept would make a great addition to this data set. So.
You have a little bit of that. You have the field that is traveling to the supermarkets.
I missed that one.
Yeah, that normally is one of the indicatives of inequality on child obesity. Because normally those children are kind of surrounded by fast food chains, and it is that distance to the supermarkets or the markets that makes the difference. It can be the difference between a mother be able to eat and be able to give fresh vegetables.
Keep working at it.
Perfect, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Neil, do you want to come up and show us what, I think you have a map. Oh.
Okay, so I haven't found an awful lot in here, but again, I just wanted to look at Lambeth and Southwark and go with the question and find out where they are in London, and then compare them with the other boroughs and neighbourhoods. So really all I've done is just sort of bring that information in. I've highlighted Lambeth and Southwark in orange, so you can sort of compare different levels of intensity. I did have a look here on the parameter to see if we could see things changing over time. You can a little bit, but not particularly. And full disclosure, I can't figure out how to get the colours, because at the moment the most intense colours there are the least obese. So I've got some work to do on that. But I just basically wanted to bring something in visual. It's not like me to try and make a viz look pretty at the expense of analytics, I'm sure. But that's what I was able to do anyway. It was pretty cool that we've got the shapefile and the data to such detailed level. And so, I mean, immediately you can bring it straight in, bring the shapefile in, and instantly you've got some map data to play with. So I've got a way to go there, but that's sort of what I pulled out at the moment, just to try and compare blue versus orange to see how Lambeth and Southwark are comparing with the rest of Greater London there.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you.
Sorry. The headaches.
Okay, so just one thing that I wanted to say is it was really also interesting to see Katie sketching, even though she didn't bring her laptop, it was like working through some of the ideas in terms of what we wanted to do, which kind of goes back to what Tristan was saying about it doesn't have to be just the one tool. There's a number of things when we think about data visualization and the way that we want to tell the stories of the data that you can start at any point that it feels comfortable for you. And in this case, sketching, kind of trying out some ideas of to investigate the data further on, I think was really good. So thank you. I would call you up to show that, but we don't have that kind of adapter. I knew that.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are reaching the end of the session. We could spend a day with this data set here. It's quite unfair to give you such data set in a small amount of time, but we have the project open until the end of the year. So you still have time to work on the visualizations, and you can still reach out to members of the board as ourselves, or even to chapter leads. If you are interested in being one of the chapter leads, please come and talk to me. I'm the part of responsible for the chapter leads. Will be more than welcome to join us. Thank you very much. Great work, everyone.
Apologies, I was trying to get that thing to come up. Just to show you one thing that we're obliged to before you go. And the conference doesn't stop here. Is it coming up? Yeah, perfect. So the conference doesn't stop here. There's 2 good sessions. I think there's 2 Zen Master sessions still going on this morning that you should attend. Definitely recommend those. Please fill in the survey. It's important for us so that we can improve, to make sure we don't get the graveyard shift for next year as well. That'll be awesome. And also, we really appreciate having taken the time, and we look forward to seeing you in 2020. Safe travels home.
And don't forget to upload the entries, okay? Thank you, everyone.